Folks, we in Britain had the first COVID vaccine, the fastest rollout in Europe, the speediest booster programme. We're all fizzing now with antibodies. We were the first out of lockdown. We shook off the shackles of COVID restrictions. And to me, it was very much a success story that we ought to feel proud of now. And I wonder how many over the next few years, though, once we've gone through this hellish episode of economic turmoil and the pain that it's causing to our healthcare service and all the rest of it, the backlogs, the A&E backlogs, the mental health backlogs, how many of us really are going to claim that we didn't support the second or third lockdown over the next few years? And that actually, whilst we understood the first lockdown to try and figure out what this virus actually was, how many of us are going to conclude that it wasn't proportionate to go ahead with these further iterations that have caused us all the pain that we're experiencing right now? A young lad in the BBC Question Time audience this week was brave enough to ask similar questions this week. Have a watch at how the audience and the politicians laugh and sneer.
I think what it shows that by Boris Johnson breaking rules was that they were absurd in the first place and that we should never have gone into lockdown. And that it was the biggest mistake, I think, that the government has made.
But folks, just see how quickly their laughter and their eye-rolling falls flat as this Jamie unwraps his anti-lockdown argument.
We now have children who have to catch up on their lost learning, and we have NHS backlogs of over 6 million people, and we have cancer patients who can't get seen, who died during lockdown. No one talks about that. Why are we not talking about the collateral damage from 2 years of lockdowns which have destroyed the economy and which have caused the cost of living crisis that's happened today?
Very well said, if you ask me. And folks, my first question here is how on earth did someone with a considered opinion that goes against the establishment grain manage to slip through the BBC censors? I wonder how fast BBC Question Time will reprimand whoever allowed this incorrect set of views to be broadcast to the dwindling numbers that actually watch Question Time anymore. Personally, I'd sooner watch paint dry. I mean, how dare anyone suggest that maybe, folks, just maybe, it's the lockdown strategy, the turning off and on of the economy more times than Del Boy's dodgy three-wheeler. Perhaps that's what's responsible for the inflationary debt spiral that our economy is currently experiencing, as well as all of the aforementioned healthcare tribulations and the generation of school children well and truly thrown under the lockdown bus. I wonder if we'd have made the same decisions over recent years if we'd allowed opinions like this young lad's to be heard in public and governmental debate, rather than be surprised and consider it brave when someone is able to air those views on our so-called national broadcaster. How fast the shock dissipates, how fast the pearl clutching stops as these politicians are reminded of the consequences of what they actually voted for time and again. I say good for Jamie. For how many it has felt like such a lonely work, actually, in opposing these lockdowns. And I really, really do. I go back to that point I mentioned earlier. I reckon the day's going to come when almost no one will admit to having endorsed these lockdown rules. Some of the more mental restrictions for a virus that primarily affects the vulnerable and the elderly. Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter, I think, is an important reminder that we need to keep the public square open so that opinions like Jamie's are given a platform too. We all too easily shook off the civil liberties that our ancestors helped us curate, nurture and fiercely defend. So this lad is right to remind her of the consequences of so easily abandoning those very values.